between the bass drops and your soft touch. World spinning, but I never seen them move much. Cupid's aim drunk, arrow went astray, but still I'm here, stuck on replay. Catch me
Alright, so as you would have seen from the clips I just showed where I did a couple bounty hunting or bounty hunts on a few players, the bounty hunting system in this game is incredible, by the way. It's really fun. Massive adrenaline rush. I'm still kind of high off the adrenaline rush I just had in one before. We're getting straight into the recording of this build guide. Now, this is a little bit of a sort of off-path build. It's very almost off-meta, but it's very popular. And I think it's incredibly strong when you utilize it properly. Now, I quickly want to mention in the clips at the start of the video, I play on very high ping, and there are currently server issues that make it a little bit harder for me to play the build in PvP, but nonetheless, I still give it my best, and I still come out on top if I play myself correctly. That doesn't sound right, play my builds correctly. We're pretty much just going to jump exactly into what I run and recommend, and then I want to talk about some of the ways to acquire some things, as that's sort of important when the game is just freshly released, as some of the ways to get certain things in this build are very interesting. There's some very tedious quests to get some of the stuff, but nonetheless, we'll jump into the weapons. Obviously, the Vernal Umbrella, this is the DPS Umbrella, which is going to allow us to have a bit of a ranged aim-based attack. It's also going to give us a very nice CC with this ability here, which is called the Spring Sorrow. You will have seen this in the bounty hunting at the start of the video. It's quite nice. It allows us to get a free burst entry with our heavy attack on our Nameless Sword, which is our second weapon. And again, we have these two abilities here. Sorry, a 3 charge skill, special skill, which is the Shadow Step, and our, the Daunting Strike. These 3 abilities here are going to do a lot of the heavy lifting when it comes to DPS in this build, as they all kind of synergize together really well. And again, I will go over some of the combos in a bit. But anyways, if you're ever curious on how to get the Vernal Umbrella and Nameless Sword martial arts, if you don't have it in the list, find it. There'll be a big yellow button that'll tell you exactly how to get it if you don't have it already. I'm pretty sure Nameless Sword you start with. The Vernal Umbrella you can pretty much get within the first 10 minutes of the game, which is quite nice. Now to the inner ways. These are basically like perks that are just going to do unique things that change up the build's playstyle, make it more effective, obviously, and more damage and things like that. First one being Morale Chance. This is basically just a stacking damage increase anytime you hit a player. Really just nice to have, one of the probably meta perks in the game. And Moral Chant you can get instantly, well not instantly, once you get 5,000 Jade, you can buy it from, I think it was this, it was one of these vendors along here. I have to quickly remember where it was, but you can actually, if you're ever curious on where to get certain things, so for example, Moral Chant, I'm going to go Breakthrough. You need these basically Moral Chant notes to unlock it initially. You also need more of them to level it up, and that's sort of where the in-game grind comes in. So we'll quickly click this, and then we'll go to the Wang City Merchant Tang Lun. That's actually, oh yeah, so this is actually a merchant where we can get 10 more of them in Kaifang. But there's also a merchant where you can get 10 of them in the starter zone. I don't know how to pronounce it, I don't want to butcher it. But yeah, you can get 10 of them up here as well. I think it's a vendor along here somewhere. Again, going to that like tab here, clicking on it, how to obtain, that will be here. I think, yeah, here it is. So Zerfan's Warehouse. I've already purchased them all. That's actually a different one. Again, that's another place you can get some upgrade books here. Anyways, that's how you get the Moral Chant off the rip. And as you progress it, it gets progressively stronger, just like a lot of the other inner ways do that I'll talk about. So this one gets up to 2% per hit, which makes it very strong. So it starts off at 1%, 5 stacks. So it's basically a 5% damage increase. And I think you also get some physical pen too. And as you break through and upgrade the Moral Chant with more of those papers, more of those books, it becomes even stronger, becomes 2% at the very end. It does a little bit of a finisher attack, which is quite nice. So it becomes very strong. The second, in a way, is the Battle Anthem. Battle Anthem is very, very strong. This basically is just going to give us a consistent damage increase on our charged skills, primarily being that sword attack, this one here. Wait, no, that's the wrong one. When we hold F, sorry, or when I hold F, for you, you'll have it set to a different bind. That Crescent Wave attack is our sort of, I call it the Crescent Wave because I'm from New World, if you know, you know. It's basically going to be one of our biggest DPS stealers. it's sometimes hard to proc in a PvP fight because you might get in a CC chain, and we will talk about ways to counter that. But to start off with, that's sort of like one of the main damage dealers, and that's probably one of the most essential in a ways for that ability. Is again, it's just consistent charge skill damage increase, which I think is really worth it. Now, the important thing here is it won't start off this way until you at least upgrade once in the inner way breakthrough. So it's very important that you get it broken through once. To do this, if you're ever curious, you can go to the exchange and you can actually buy more of these boxes, and you can also get these from game modes like strikes and things. I don't think they're called strikes, I think they're called outpost challenges. Yep. So these will give boxes of inner way notes, and you just grind these out. You'll spend a little bit of energy. It's not too much, you might as well use it. There's really nothing much to worry about. This is going to be useful. You need to level your inner ways up, so you have to kind of do it. And again, you can also get those boxes from a few other sources. So challenges, you can get them from sword trials. These are another like sort of co-op activity. You can get, I believe, the upgrade boxes from the bosses as well, the campaign challenges. And again, there's a few vendors that will sell some of them as well. And if you get ones you don't like, you can go to your bag, you can go to the first tab, develop, you can hit tips recycle. And then, for example, this is reduce the endurance cost of movement mystic skill. I don't use that. I don't use these two, so I can salvage these, and it's going to give me vintage book plates, so I can hit bang, bang, and then we can go to exchange, and I want the bell strike boxes for this build. So I'm going to buy a couple of these, and boom, we didn't get one, so we wanted again, but you can get Moral Chant from this. You can also get Sword Morph, which is the next in a way we'll talk about, and of course you can get Wildfire Spark, and you can also get Battle Anthem. So the 4 upgrade notes we need come from the Bell Strike box, which is really nice. Now, there's a bit of a build diversity thing you can go for on this build. I think it's this one here, which I'll talk about a little bit later, but that's more of a build diversity thing that you might like to use instead of my setup. But back on to the inner ways here. So, where is it? I think we're at Battle Anthem, right? Yeah, so that's just more charge attacks. You need to get that leveled up once. When this isn't leveled up, by the way, before you even have it leveled up once, it's only going to be against bosses. Still strong, still great to use, especially while leveling, doing the MSQ and things like that. But you really need to get it broken through once, as that's going to be essential and just damage against everything, right? It's an okay in a way before that, but once you break through once, it becomes a very strong in a way. Next up is the Sword Morph. This is probably one of the second most important in a ways in this sort of build. And this is going to allow us to get multiple of those crescent wave like charge attacks when we sort of initiate with a combo. So I'll give an example of it here. It's probably a little bit easier. So our R ability, or my R ability, for you will be probably something else, is, what is it called? The Daunting Strike. When we spam this ability, it's going to basically do a bit of a sort of combo, right? So I'll do it again here. It also does a lunge, so it's really good for gap closing. So when we do it and we keep spamming it, it's going to proc. See this blue shield? We can then hold down our charge attack, and it's going to release multiple of those waves. And if we do our charged attack without doing it, you can see that only does one wave. But if we do that combo first, and it gives us the blue shield, which is also good for damage reduction, by the way, we do 3 crescent wave, or wave attacks rather. This also becomes super strong when we break through it as well. I'm pretty sure it's this one. So we go breakthrough here, in a way breakthrough, and yes, so we can now basically use Shadow Step to also do a charged attack with multiple wave attacks. So there's another bit of a combo step you can do here. Again, this one's a little bit harder to upgrade. It's a legendary. The pages are a little bit more RNG. I was thankful, good enough to get good RNG to where I could get the first note here, and I really recommend trying to focus this above everything. The moment you get this, you don't need to do that whole combo with the Daunting Strike. You can simply just use your tab ability, which is like a little backflip quick attack, and it's quicker and it's much more effective, but it's also just another way to do it, of course. So we still have the lunge way to cause it, and this is going to give us that shield, which the shield is really strong in itself. But now that we also have the tab, or not tab, the Shadow Step to proc it, it's just a little bit faster if we need more instant DPS. And again, it's another method to do it if our other ability is on cooldown. I think that's the best part about it, is this ability doesn't go on near as long of a cooldown. Now, you know, I do want to preface, this uses a lot of endurance. And that comes on to our last in a way, which is pretty important, I would say. And that is the Wildfire Spark. This basically refunds endurance when we use endurance. So it's basically just a little bit of a snapback, which is quite nice to use. And of course, breaking through this one is going to be great as well, as it is going to just grant more and more endurance, more benefits, more bonuses, becoming stronger and stronger. Again, in a way, breakthroughs are sort of the long-term in-game grind in where wins meet. These take, you know, you're not going to have these week 1. You might have them after a few weeks, we'll see. But I can guarantee you won't have these week 1. You probably won't have them week 2. You might have one of them done week 3 kind of thing. It's a big time grinds. You know, again, the main way to get more notes is from the wandering paths and from all of your challenges and game modes. Primarily outpost challenges, I believe raids and dungeons in the Heroes realm when we unlock them this weekend are going to be great for that. So yeah, those are sort of the 2, I guess, or 3, 4 important in ways that I use in my build that really bring it all together and make the damage and self-sustain really good. I absolutely love the Nameless Sword. Now you're probably wondering, I have not really mentioned the Umbrella at all. And that is because for my off-meta spec, there are 2 things we use the Umbrella for. Number 1, the CC. So if you don't know, the Umbrella has an ability called the Spring Sorrow. The Spring Sorrow effectively does a charged attack, and as you will have seen in the bounty hunting PvP clips at the start, will do a sort of CC, I think it lasts 3 seconds. Now, it's important to mention there are CC breaks in this game. We'll talk about that later through Mystic Arts. But this ability, when I press R, it's R for me, it'll probably be something different for you, is going to basically CC an enemy, as you've seen in the clips at the start, for 3 seconds. This allows us to get onto a combo and do some really good damage pretty quickly. That's the most, I guess, important part of this combo, and why I absolutely love this CC. So it's very strong, right? It's very, very strong, good combo, fast to do, especially getting that second upgrade on that in a way where we can now use that charged attack without needing to do our Daunting Strike. So you got basically a few different ways you can play around the build, but what else the Umbrella is good for is just a ranged option. If you hold down left mouse button, you go into a raw aim sort of turret sentry mode, which does some pretty big dick damage. It's quite nice for that. But most importantly, this ties into our set bonus, which means we can probably get onto our gear here. Mystic Arts on leave for a little bit later, as they don't necessarily need to be mentioned in tandem with anything, as they're kind of just strong in their own regard. So, going on to the gear. Now, I have got 2 4-piece set bonuses, and they're actually from different boxes. And that's kind of something I want to mention, is the gear I use is 4 and 4 from different boxes. So if you don't know how to get certain gear really quick in this game, you can actually go to the season shop. So season, then you can go to season shop and you can go to gear chest. You can buy some really good just starter gear boxes in here to sort of help you out. After that, it comes back down to the co-op modes in the Wandering Paths to get gear. So you get gear boxes from bosses, outpost challenges, raids, sword trials. They will give you just gear, right? These give you gear boxes. But a really good way to get a baseline, especially when you do a breakthrough, is from the season shop. So you go to the season shop, you go gear chest, then you have the gear 41 gear boxes, gear 51, which we'll get this weekend. These just all have the set bonuses you want in them. So for me, you might have noticed that we're using the, I believe we're using the Form Bend, yes, we're using the Form Bend armor set bonus, but we're using the Jade Wear, wait, no, is it the, I think it's the Veil of the Hollow weapon set bonus, yeah. So the Veil of the weapon set bonus, which I'll go back to our weapon tab now, basically uses a sort of combo. This set bonus in itself is actually quite bad for the sword, but it becomes strong with the sword when we use an umbrella. So, as you can see here, the 2 pieces just extra stats. The 4-piece, after a light attack or airborne light attack, which you might recognize we have on our umbrella, when we go into turret mode, we go airborne, we get a damage increase that lasts 12% for 10 seconds. The reverse is also true, and this increases our heavy attack damage. Guess what is a heavy attack? our sword attack. This one right here. Sorry, wrong. Fucking pressed the wrong one again. This one right here is a heavy attack. That crescent wave ability is a heavy attack, which basically allows us to use the umbrella to proc that damage buff. Now, I'll go find a mob here. Use just a lightness skill to go find something. Just so I can sort of showcase this a little bit better. I really love the lightness skills in this game, by the way. Yeah, there should be enemies in here. Nice, sweet. So when I go into sentry mode on my umbrella, you'll see that the damage buff pops up here. Veil of the Hollow. Heavy attack damage increased by 12%. This stays when we switch weapons, but we can basically proc this. We can go like this, and now we can do a heavy attack. And we can just, you know, kind of go big dick damage, balls to the wall kind of thing. And we can even go in for a CC on this guy if we want. So as you can see, that's sort of like the playstyle of the build, right? We can use our umbrella to proc that buff we get from our set bonus, switch to our sword, use our charge attack, get the benefits of that set bonus on those wave attacks. So it's very strong. It works very well together. It's a very nice combo synergy that is not particularly meta in the sense that the game doesn't tell you about this build. If you didn't know, the game has very clear beaten paths for builds. You can go develop, then you can go improvement guide, and there's sort of basically 6 different paths the game recommends you to go down. These are basically tried and true setups that have been consistent in China at just being, you know, good. So tank setup, DPS setup, strategic sword setup, healer setup, DPS range, DPS melee, things like that. These are tried and true builds from China, but these aren't the only methods and paths you can take. As said in this video, this is the path I've taken for a sort of off-meta build that does synergize very well and can be very strong when utilized properly and understanding how to keep your buffs up. So I guess the next important thing we can mention is the armor set bonuses. So the armor set bonuses are basically going to be, I believe it's the form bin set. Yeah, form bin set, which comes from, again, those boxes I was talking about earlier. This just extends our shield. So that shield we get when we use a sword attack is really nice. So whenever we do that, got the name of the ability, it gives us the shield and just makes it last longer. 2 seconds longer on the shield. Really good for damage reduction. And it also has another benefit on top of that, where we get basically minus 20% HP damage taken while we're in that shield, which is really nice to have. It's just a consistent damage reduction, and it also just extends that damage reduction. So I think it's worth it. It's consistent, easy to proc, and it works in tandem really nice with the sort of, what is it called? The Veil of the Willow sets. I always forget the names of sets, but I remember more so what they do, so it's kind of funny. In terms of other stuff on the gear, we can kind of briefly mention tuning, as this will be a pretty important system come in-game. But basically, the 2 sort of tunings you're looking for on the, I guess, in-game gear will be Bell Strike. Our sword does Bell Strike damage, so if you're ever curious what kind of damage a weapon does, go abilities, martial arts, and it'll tell you right here. So the umbrella is Silk Bind, and the sword is Bell Strike. So we really only want these 2 for our tunings, and physical. Physical is just flat damage increase, which is a nice one to have. So I was trying to show a good roll I have here. For example, this one has Bell Strike, which is a nice tuning. This purple one here is used for tuning. So you really should be using this kind of weapon to tune another weapon. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But basically, in short, this is not exactly the greatest sword, but it's the best I have right now while leveling and working through breakthroughs. So I'm sticking with it. But for example, my umbrella has max physical attack. This is a really nice one to get. I think this is one of the better tunings you can get. You can also get affinity rate. I believe affinity is like the damage of like the wave attack we have, which can also be pretty good. Agility, not actually sure what agility is. Again, tuning is kind of a new system that everyone's been playing around with. I'm sure a China player will be able to comment maybe down below what it means a little bit better than I do. You get, and then the armor ones are different. So on armor you can get physical attack, but you can also get max HP, which is really nice to have. This one is precision rate and crit rate, not bad either. I'm not sure what the best tunings are. As I've said, Bell Strike That's going to increase our umbrella damage, which is quite nice. Now, again, you might have noticed that we're not necessarily using the umbrella for damage all of the time. It's more of an option that's there. The sword is going to be our main DPS. The umbrella is more of the utility and proccing our buffs and synergies with the, especially the Veil of the Hollow set, right? So that's sort of the main thing going on there. Bow and the ring, this is just its own category that you'll get naturally. You can actually craft bows in in-game, by the way. If you go bag, you go gear, craft, you actually craft your rings and bows when it comes to in-game. That's, I guess, something I can mention. Bows are not used in PvP much, really. You actually will be using toxic arrows. I don't really want to mention any of the util stuff. I might leave that for a different video, but in short, when it comes to this kind of stuff, is you have like some really unique bow utilities. I don't think I have any on me. You can actually ignite your sword on fire as well. I think it's... God, I have to remember where to go, dude. The UI can be interesting sometimes. Yeah, so I think it's this one here, right? Yeah, so I can actually ignite my sword on fire and give it a little bit of fire damage as well. So make it a little bit stronger in that regard, which is quite nice, I guess. It's not a must do though, it's just a nice kind of thing to do. I didn't know you could actually set grass and dirt on fire, and it's actually causing a forest fire. Wait, that's... Dude, this game's got some crazy detail that I'm still finding out about. Dude, we kill the nature. GG's. But yeah, this is sort of the premise of the build. I guess the last thing we can mention now, we've gone over gear, we've gone over the set bonuses, the weapon bonuses, we've gone over the weapons, the martial arts, the inner ways being the most important things for the build. I guess we can talk about Mystic Arts. Now, I haven't finalized my Mystic Arts, but I've found a setup that I'm pretty happy with. First thing I want to mention is Serene Breeze. This is one of the most mandatory perks in PvP in the entire game. This is a CC break. If you've ever tried PvP in Where Winds Meet and you've, not liked it because you're always in a CC chain or you're always getting, juggled and you hate that kind of gameplay, you need to get Serene Breeze. I know a lot of people have talked like how they hate PvP because they're always just perma CC'd and stun locked. That's probably because you don't have Serene Breeze. I'm going to be honest, this is one of the most important abilities in the game for breaking out of CC. It's incredibly strong, and again, it's the most mandatory thing in PvP in this game. Even PvE, when you're getting juggled by a boss or something, it's going to be great. Now, for the other abilities I really like is Veil of Stillness. This is actually a stealth ability. So if you like being a rat like me, especially in bounty hunting, you would have seen it in one of the PvP clips I had at the start of the video when I was bounty hunting someone, is as soon as I join their world, I pop stealth. It's a pretty ratty move, but it's very strong in that sense and allows me to get a free umbrella CC. Also worth mentioning in that clip at the start of the video is I didn't realize you had to initiate the bounty when you found the player, so I wasted and was running around mindless for like 10 seconds until I figured out that you had to start the bounty, so that was kind of funny. And then I would use the CC on my umbrella from stealth. Another nice ability in here is Cloud Steps. I think this one's pretty nice. You can't just jump in the air. It can be pretty unassuming to face, like it's kind of like a surprise, especially jumping in the air and lunging on your enemy. It's a good gap closer as well, very good gap closer. The other one I like is the Yaksha Rush. Now, I know there's some more meta ones that people use in PvP, but these are the ones I've been liking for now. I know that Meridian Touch is also pretty good if you want a little bit more CC. This can freeze an enemy. This can give you another opportunity to get some wave strikes off. So you could go, bang, and then, whoops, wrong weapon. Then you could, hit your back attack into your charged attack while you've CC'd someone with Meridian Touch. I know that's a popular combo as well, especially if your Umbrella Spring Sorrow is on cooldown. So it can be a pretty fun one to do too. But other than that, those are pretty much the three, or the few, I guess, Mystic Arts that I use right now. Again, there are more meta ones. I know that, I think it's, no, not Flaming Meteor. I think Talon Strike is popular in PvP. There is the flame one. I can't remember the name of it. Is it Dragon Head? No. Drunken Poet. I don't think it's that. Dragon's Breath. I know this one's popular in PvP as well. I probably would recommend this too. I just haven't been bothered to get it myself because I've been focused on the Oddities grind, which I guess is something I do want to mention in this video. exploration means everything in this game. Now, if you don't know, you might already know, but oddities are basically collectibles that you'll find around the map. They have little umbrella or I guess butterfly insect bird looking icons like this. This is actually the vendor for it. Wait, no, that's not the vendor for it. This is the vendor for it. They look like this, sorry. Except they're black on the map, and they only come into render on your map when you're nearby. They're basically collectibles all around Kaifeng, all around the starter zone, and you need to pick them up. They're extremely important because when I go to this vendor, you'll see why. You'll basically accept them. There's also a vendor for this in Kaifeng as well. There's hundreds of them, so this is a little bit of an exploration grind. Not that I actually mind it. I think it's a very fun way of doing progression. It's very relaxing, but you'll basically go up to these vendors, and you'll submit these oddities that you found around the map. And it will give you buffs. Like, these give you genuine buffs that are very strong in PvP, PVE. For example, this one's max vitality. That's useful for our mystic skills. Then you have other ones that will straight up increase your defense. Ones that will increase your attack. There's ones that increase your endurance costs, damage in PvE, max endurance plus 5. So, for example, max HP plus 150. Oddities are some of the most, I guess, mandatory grinds for long-term progression. You don't need to worry about this instantly, but over time, especially if you want to start getting into competitive PvP, these are very important to do. And I'll probably leave a more specific guide for oddities in the description that someone's made. Relixer might have made a guide, and I'll probably chuck his guide in the description because these are extremely important. Again, all these buffs add up, and there's a whole nother vendor for oddities in Kaifeng. I've only just started Kaifeng myself. As you can see, I've been grinding out the progression in, don't want to butcher the name, the starter zone, and it's very important. Now, I know this is a long video, but there's a lot of systems I need to talk about, especially since it's the start of the game, but this is a little bit more sophisticated than the first build guide I made, as we're starting to ramp up in mechanic introductions. So yeah, the other thing I quickly want to mention is if you're ever stuck and curious on how to get something, for example, getting the wildfire spark in a way is a tedious quest chain. It is really annoying. You can actually hit F1 in game, and it'll take you to a wiki. Hit Q&A, and you'll be able to talk to basically a wiki chatbot. As you can see, I've been asking it questions about stuff, and sometimes it can give you a hit or miss. Now, the reason why it hasn't given us any answers about GVG is because the GVG season hasn't started, which is 16 lanes. But for example, if I type inner sparks with that caps lock on, it's actually going to give us basically a guide on how to get it and what we should do and where we should look. It's basically a perfect in-game guide tool if you're ever stuck and a YouTuber hasn't explained it or a guide hasn't explained it properly. And another way you can also go about it is a little bit more tedious, is you can go develop in a way. You can go to the where it is on the list. For example, Insightful Strike, you can hit Comprehend Way, you can hit Comprehend Clue, and it's going to give you a clue on where you would start the quest chain to get this in a way. I call in a ways perks, by the way. I probably should call them in a ways more, but yeah. If you're ever curious on how to get something, you know, you click on it, and I've already unlocked it. If you don't have it unlocked, there'll be a nice big yellow button that'll help you, you know, figure it out. And yeah, that's sort of most things I want to talk about in this video. More stuff to come. I'm loving this game. I do want to mention, this game is very different. I think it's a very awesome and unique in that way. The combat's incredible, the world is beautiful, and it's very exploration based. Again, mentioning back on the oddities grind that I just showcased, there's also, I guess I should mention it if you go details here, there is other stats in the game. So you have agility, body, power, momentum. You have all of these other stats in here too. These are what I like to call role-play stats, especially exploration skills. These are unlocked simply by doing all of the activities in the map with NPCs, events, quest chains. You want to do everything exploration based in this game. For example, you want to play chess with an NPC. You need to do that. You have to do this fishing, as it will give you mindset, which is an attribute that you will need. You want to play heal the illness and heal this NPC, he's going to give you memory attributes. Exploration is the most important thing in this game, and I actually think it's a really cool way to bring the world alive and have a good, I guess, exploration and progression system. I like it. I think it's really fun. It's pretty chill as well. You just go around interacting with NPCs, doing quest chains. You can press J and you can track all of your more core quests. This will show you your encounters that you need to do as well. This will give you good currencies. It'll give you enlightenment points and things like that. So it's very worth doing these. You'll get a bunch of free cosmetics too, which is quite cool. This game is a whole bag of, I guess, things. And exploration was one of those things. I love this game. I love this build. I hope you enjoyed. And if you have any questions, ask me in the comments or on my Discord. I'm always happy to answer. More Where Wins Me videos will follow soon. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you in the next one.